like it could clear up, though, into tomorrow, and then Friday we could see some showers and thunderstorms, and then hopefully the weekend is clear, as Joe was mentioning yesterday. But clearing the phone lines for Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, joining us a little early here this morning. Good morning, Claudia. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Talking a little bit there about the weather, and it's like you're on a summer tour again with your campaign, your Renew NY 22, and making a lot of stops. And you can highlight. We want to highlight and ask a little bit about that. This is the second year. You did this last year as well, right?
Well, basically we do it every day I'm in the district. When I'm not in Washington, I basically spend every day going from stop to stop, whether I'm visiting community action agencies, groups that are dealing with social services, businesses, you name it. We run the gamut every single day that I'm home, and it's really it's intense, but it's really important that we find out and go to the actual constituent groups that are in need in our communities. We're going to do senior centers like we do almost every month. We try to do a few of those and pick them off and find out what's going on, what they care about, what they're concerned about. So just basically a day in the life. But we're starting in Binghamton today and then moving right up to the very top of the district through a few counties. And it's exciting. I mean, the best part of the job is the people I get to meet in our district.
And you kicked off, I think, earlier this week in Deansboro and Vernon Center. You highlighted this as Infrastructure Week, and one of the items you were focused on earlier this week was the water issues, water infrastructure. And I know infrastructure is something that you're looking at just throughout the district, and you have a lot of rural communities in the district as well. So you're talking about whether it's roads and bridges, infrastructure, broadband, things like that. Do you find out that these rural communities, are they struggling for whether it's cost or federal issues to be able to maintain their infrastructure? And can the federal government really be doing more, or is there another issue going on here that needs to be addressed in order for them to have the water infrastructure and the broadband and things like that in order to maintain their communities as well as expand businesses?
Right. Well, I think part of the problem, as I worked in the state legislature and was a representative for 6 years, there's been a continuous war on local governments by the state with continuing to pass these unfunded mandates, forcing local businesses, local governments and counties, village towns, all of them to take on greater and bigger problems without giving them the money and the resources they need, which has forced us into these high-tax situations. And so what we're trying to do on the federal side is find ways that we can give some relief to the local governments on key issues that they face. And one of the big issues is obviously the quality of our water, and whether it's the quantity that they need to serve their local communities or the quality of the water. And we found two stark examples. In Deansboro, a very small community, needs more water to provide for their constituents. And Vernon actually has a problem with the quality of water, something that is a really serious issue.
As far as salt contamination.
So, the salt contamination in the water in a number of households in Vernon, where there was a state facility that appears to be leaking off salt for many, many years. And for some of these residents, you can't even drink the water. You can't use the water. We went into a number of homes and saw that these residents were spending thousands of dollars to replace plumbing, hot water heaters,
and installing their own filters, right? They're installing their own filtration
filters, constant 50 pounds of salt a week just to try to get the contaminants out of the water, and still the water is undrinkable. And the state has been providing them with drinking water, but it's just wreaked havoc on their ability to maintain their water pipes and their infrastructure themselves in these small homes. So I never even realized this problem was first brought to my attention.
The issue in Deansboro,
it's really dramatic.
You mentioned the issue there as far as getting the capacity, I guess, the amount of water that they need. Is that an issue of just being able to deliver it there? Is that what you're talking about, the actual infrastructure?
Well, some of these, so we're beyond, these are rural water systems where they are not on the Mohawk Valley water system, for example. They have wells and septic systems not on a sewer, many of them in these smaller communities. And we did this tour last year. We went up into the north country and around, and we've set out we sent out notices to everyone in our entire region. What are your needs? Where is your infrastructure? And many of them are reassessing the quality of their infrastructure, where they may need some help, and how they can continue to try to deliver quality and abundant water to the communities. Some of them with smaller rural areas like Deansboro. Some have more business activity, and just trying to help where we can on infrastructure and find grants and ways that they can provide the quality water that they need in quantity and also in quality.
And another item that you did early, I think might have been it was this week at some point, not sure what day, but you were in Rome hosting a cybersecurity workshop for businesses. A lot of small businesses, I think, you stated 50% of them are unprepared for cyber attacks and things like that. So having said that, you can address that in a moment as far as what I think you had this workshop to help inform them and how they might protect themselves. But you can also look at our local elections and statewide elections and federal elections. You believe the federal government is really doing enough, whether they want to debate over Russia's interference or not. Is the federal government and Trump and Congress doing enough to make sure that our election system can withstand any kind of cyber attacks?
Well, of course, the President put together a commission to study and analyze that, and also to see if we can improve our election system. A while ago, or I don't know how many years ago it's been, we had the Help America Vote Act came through, where we imposed another mandate on all of our country and across the state, where we put in new voting machines. And of course, we went from paper ballots and the lever voting machines to this system, which is computerized, which is now probably more vulnerable to some kind of cyber attack.
Right.
So we've got to figure out a way to prevent that from happening. And so that's something that we're looking into, and that was one of the things that we discussed. Really not the topic yesterday morning in the cyber issue, but what we're talking about, small businesses protecting themselves on a number of fronts, so much of which they described was actually the human level, just protecting your passwords, things that we could prevent, and having firewalls and having identification, authentication, and it is interesting that we, so many of the issues preventing malware from coming into the computers and preventing, small businesses are more vulnerable because if their data is exposed, they could very easily go out of business, and they don't have the resources to keep themselves going like a lot of larger businesses do. But this is a big issue on a financial services committee that I'm on, because banks have so much information, banks and financial institutions, and their business is their customers, and they spend billions of dollars to protect the identity of their customers and the confidential information that they have on customers. And so the issue becomes, in regulation, some of this really sensitive data could get turned over to a government that is really vulnerable, because governments don't typically have as many resources or ability to protect against firewalls. And that's something that we've been looking into on the federal side. We hope the state is doing more as they, really regulate much more heavily sometimes in those areas. But remember that a bank and a financial institution, their stock and trade is protecting their customers. And we've seen some dramatic breaches that we want to make sure aren't happening. So those are things that we're always looking into and always trying to protect our customers. So it's a very complicated area, and it's a new frontier where we have to really protect our identity and protect ourselves in the cyber world, and elections is just one part of it.
Mm-hmm. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney joining us here on the Talk of the Town. We have to just take a minute and a half breather for CBS News and the local news. We'll hear about the weather. We'll come back and we'll discuss a few more issues and maybe a few more stops with the Congresswoman here on the Talk of the Town. 624-0870 is the number to reach us, or the text line 623-0373. I'd love to hear your questions, comments, or concerns. Stay tuned. CBS News coming up.